So, I mean, again, if you want to grow your business, you want to have a great reputation, this is what a lot of property managers like you guys are doing today. And it's again, one of the reasons why we've been having a really great year.
What's up, everybody? My name's Mike Sjogren, here with my co-host
Emmanuel Pani.
We're part of a group of specialized real estate investors you've probably never heard of.
We didn't start with deep pockets or wealthy families, and we don't rely on 401ks, mutual funds, or traditional real estate investing.
In fact, many of us don't even own the properties that fund our freedom. If you ask the money experts out there, they'd say what we do is impossible, yet it's happening every single day.
It's happening through a new niche called short-term rentals.
We are Short-Term Rental Nation, and these are our secrets. What's going on, STR Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast. I am your host, Mike Sjogren, here with my main man and brother from another mother, Mr. Emmanuel Pani. What's up, B?
What's up, my brother? Good to see you. I am a little bit in a weird spot still. So we didn't record last week, but last week on February the 4th, I had to say goodbye to one of my dogs. And I don't have kids. So for me, my dogs are kind of my children, and she was with us for the past 10 years. And so just a little bit of a weird kind of like last week or so. But again, a great reminder of just like life and love, and just kind of cherishing the people you have when you have them, whatever that may look like, people or dogs, And again, a lot of gratitude for just the flexibility that we have right in life. I haven't really been feeling much to anything, and just having our team and having our people behind us and being able to just hang out, eating Ben and Jerry's, and ugly crying at home. It's just like, and the business is still running. The guests are checking in and checking out, and everything is good. So deep gratitude for my team for that, and just a reminder of like why we do what we do, really. For me.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah.
And again, my condolences.
Not to make us start off heavy, but it's kind of like a heavy but gratitude, and just I like to kind of I keep it real. This is kind of what's on my mind, so it's very hard for me to talk about anything as of lately and not kind of bring it up.
No, I hear you. Well, on a lighter note, I'd got an email today from AirDNA that their top places to invest in 2022 report came out, and I was scanning through that. You guys should definitely check that out if you haven't already. Some pretty interesting ones. I thought of you because Charleston showed up. I know you're doing some long-term rentals there, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
it's Charleston, tough to navigate the regulations there, like different zoning. You got to make sure you're in the right zoning, but there were some good ones on there, and a lot of them that people probably wouldn't think. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, super strong market. And then going back to what I talked about last week, our real estate market down here is going absolutely nuts. And like we have a couple guys looking to buy investment properties, and I can't find anything. And I have a family that offered $80,000 over asking, waived appraisal contingency, and we didn't get it. And like I don't know what else to do for these poor people. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to find a house, and we're going in. We're some of the very first people in, and we went aggressive, 80K over asking, no appraisal contingency, no nothing. And somebody else got it cash. So I'm like, where do you go? Right? Like, it's a $750,000 house, and there's somebody else coming in cash. How do you
just got to keep getting up to bat, dude?
You just got to keep going, right? So, but it's a very interesting time. And also, like, I'm seeing the margins for us on the vacation rental side, especially on like how expensive the purchases are getting. Things are not working anymore. So the neighborhoods where you could find stuff that would work, now those prices have gone up 100K. So that's literally like completely compressing our returns.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting
about that in that AirDNA article too. So definitely, everybody should check that out. It was interesting. So, but yeah, I'm excited to get into today's episode, just because I started working with this gentleman's company. So without further ado, today we have Jim Netska on the show, and he is the director of sales at PointCentral, and he leads the short-term rental markets division. He's an experienced sales leader who has led many large and small teams for Verizon, Cablevision, and most recently as VP of Sales for Charter Communications, where he led various teams in the MDU and Smart Home space. Jim has an MBA from Dowling College and recently moved from New York to Florida. You're genius, because I was down there for 3 weeks after we bought this place. I'm from Boston. And I told my wife, I said, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we going home? I got to get out of here. So welcome to the show, Jim. Thanks for being here.
Mike, thank you very much. And E, nice to meet you. Thanks, guys.
Likewise. Where in Florida are you?
I moved to a brand new community in Port St. Lucie.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I should have
Port St.
moved.
Lucie has exploded. I'm telling you, like 10 years ago, Port St. Lucie had almost nothing. Like you could buy like a 4-bedroom house for like 150K. And now those houses are going like in the 4s, 5s, and the city just keeps growing. So I'm sure there is, and you probably have a lot of people around you that have done the same thing you're doing, because I literally meet people relocating here every other day now.
Yep, exactly right. Lots of people moving in every day. I love it. I should have done it years ago. Knowing what I know today, years ago, I should have moved down.
You can always go and visit New York or Boston, but I don't want to I'd rather be down there most of the time now. So anyway, tell us a little bit about like how you made that transition, right? So you've been in somewhat like tech sales or just sales in general for some huge companies. And then what brought you over to Point Central? And then we can get into all the nitty gritty about like what Point Central offers now.
Yeah, what happened was, I was up in New York for most of my career with those big companies. And, I was like everyone else, I would come down to Florida and visit and really loved it, and had the opportunity to take a package, and I did. And then when I was at Charter Communications, there was a division that did smart home, sold smart home, directly to the residential homeowner. So I had my fingers in it a little bit because my team used to sell it. So alarm.com, Point Central called, and the rest is history, as they say. It was kind of a natural fit. So here I am. And I also was always a big short-term vacation rental fan. I always, when possible, went away with my family to short-term vacation properties, and felt it was a good fit. So it's been a couple of years now and things are going well.
I love it. I love it. So for the folks that aren't familiar, what can Point Central do for the vacation rental, short-term rental community now?
What Point Central can do for the community is really lots of things. At a really high level, what we do is we provide property managers with an operational efficiency that can save them significant money, make their life easier. We provide owners with asset protection of their properties, and we improve the guest experience, right, which is really important. So at a high level, Mike, that's really what Point Central does. We're a solution for property managers and owners that really deliver on those three items.
Yeah, and
I'll
do a little quick testimonial as to why I moved to Point Central. Especially, I'm testing it out for this new Florida house, and one of the things that I liked about it was I've had Wi-Fi locks for years, and I've had noise monitoring and different things, but the way that Point Central integrated everything, and I was spoiled because they already had the alarm.com thermostats in the house, so it was really easy for me. But some of the key differentiators that I really liked was the hub that connects the lock has its own cell phone signal. So even if your Wi-Fi goes out, you can always get codes over to that lock. And I've got a pool and a jacuzzi, and we were able to have a module installed that I can control right through my app. So I can see all the thermostats. I can pre-program it so it integrates with my property management system. So it sets temperatures to certain degrees for when it's occupied, when it's not occupied, minimum, maximum. Like I can control basically the entire house, and I can reset my Wi-Fi from my phone, which is huge because as short-term rental operators, one of the most common questions you'll get or issues is like, hey, the Wi-Fi is not working. And then what do? We tell them to reset it. Now we can just go boop, give it 5 minutes. All right, we reset it. Is there still an issue? And they don't have to go mess with your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. You're hired, by the way. Yes, we're very proud of the fact that our solution runs on the cellular network. You know, you choose either Verizon or AT&T, whatever you think works best in your area. We don't believe in Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. We think they're very unreliable. And you know, if you think of the reliability you have of sending text messages and using your cell phone, it's virtually always up. And that's what we're really most proud of, is the fact that our hub works on the cellular network. Highly reliable.
Yeah. And I love that in your 3 areas, right? Like the kind of like the 3 buckets that you talked about, right? Property manager, owners, but also you said something that to me, I even wrote it down. It's like, we help kind of like deliver a better guest experience, right? And to me, what we talk about a lot on the show is the fact that by creating systems, you can more often than not continue to deliver the same experience over and over. And to me, this is almost like the wraparound kind of blanket that you have, because I mean, I've never seen a system that lets you reset your Wi-Fi. And I know that the majority of the time that my maintenance guy has to go and run because there's a Wi-Fi problem. That's literally all it is. And so you're really allowing your users to like create and solve problem super quickly, right? In a way that like it guarantees a better guest experience. So like when people are like looking at this and they're like, well, I have just a small house or a small apartment, the real pitch for them is not so much like, why do I need it? Is because it helps you guarantee a better guest experience, which is such an important thing for people to like look at, in a sense of like, why invest in something like obviously like added safety and security and everything else. But in our particular case, the little help that you may need to like deliver like a wow experience, that's invaluable.
Absolutely, completely agree.
So let me ask you this, like alarm.com is a huge company, right? So what do you guys see as like the future for the short-term rental market? Obviously you guys saw the opportunity in there, so that's why you got in there. So like, what do you guys see as like the next thing, or like the opportunity for like home automation, or the next steps with PointCentral, you think?
Yeah, yes, as you know, part of alarm.com, we're constantly developing and doing research on new products. We have a number of them in development right now. Some of them I really not able to speak to, but lots of cool stuff that's really coming out in the future that's going to help property managers in a bigger way. And you know, if you look at 2021, we really had our best year ever last year. And so far in 2022, we're really off to a great start. Quarter over quarter, we're extremely busy. And you know, I attribute that to the fact that property managers, like yourselves, you're busy. The occupancy rates are high. The whole COVID impact of short-term rentals taking off. And I believe that, the people who tried short-term rentals for the first time during COVID are going to continue to come back and back. And I see the industry really continuing to grow. And I know you guys are, like everybody, struggling to get labor and staff and so on. And, our solution really enables property managers to do a lot more with a lot less staff, right? So we've been working on expanding our hardware portfolio, different types of devices that we control, different brands of locks that we can control. So that's coming. Things in our software we're working on to help you improve the guest experience, help you better market to those people that come to your properties and stay, that are happy. So that's in the works. And then the last one, is I'll just leave it at just think about noise, and I'll leave that one there for a while. So those are some of the things that we have on the table. So, when you think about it, when you think of the uptake or sales being strong, and we expect it to continue as property managers realize that we can increase their operational efficiency, save them money, improve the guest experience, and do more with less.
I think one thing that I want the listeners to understand, especially if you're kind of in that 1 to 5 unit range and you're looking to keep going, is as you're creating your systems, one of our core company tenets is keep it simple. And so in this instance, right, what attracted me to Point Central was I can have one system that controls my locks, my thermostats, cameras, Wi-Fi, everything in one system. So my team doesn't have to go check Ring and this other lock system that we use, and then go get this over here and this over here. Like, you want to try and create a system that all talks to itself. And one thing that I always make sure is that whatever system I use will talk to my PMS, which is Guesty in my case, right? And so Guesty integrates with Point Central. It'll automatically email the guest their codes. It'll automatically text the guest their codes, whatever, all the instructions, and it just plays well. So as you're scaling, look at it holistically of how can I make my life simple? And I think a lot of people at the beginning, they may tend to try and look for the cheapest option because you're trying to bootstrap everything, which I totally understand.
Yeah.
But you want to look at the bigger picture of where am I going and what's going to make my life easier when I get to 10, 20, 40, 100 units, because that's what's going to save you in the long run. And all that, labor stuff, Jim's 100%. I'm managing a rehab on a house in Florida from Boston, and I can see when my contractors are getting there in my app. So I know when they're there and when stuff is getting done. So it just gives you a little more peace of mind. Same thing with your cleaning staff, your guests, everything.
Absolutely. It's a good point, Mike, and I think the other point to make is, once you have it set up, once we have you set up like you are, your point's a good one. Because of the integrations that we have with most of the PMS softwares, you're really not living in my software. Once we get you set up and the rules are set, you're going about your business like you normally do, if you're in your case in Guesty. And those things happen, the things happen automatically in the home because of that integration that we have with Guesty. We ping them every hour, so we know the status of your home. We know if you need a vendor to come out. We know if a vendor needs access. We know when a guest is arriving, left, cleaning crew arrived and left. So you really have full visibility into every one of those units that you're managing today. That really makes your life a heck of a lot easier.
And it's a lot more cost effective to figure it out at the beginning than try and go retrofit everything when, like, we're at 42 units. If I go try and retrofit 42 units at once with a new system, it's a lot more costly than if you just do it 1 unit at a time as you're growing. So think more long-term of where you're going, not just what's the quick and easy solution right now. So.
Absolutely.
E, what do you got on that?
No, nothing. I was just thinking because I'm in that spot now, right? Like, one of the investments that I want to make at the villas is to change them to all kind of smart locks. We don't have smart locks there. Again, we never had to, because just from how the business is, it is just one specific central location. I have somebody on site at all times. So it just has always worked. But going back to what Mike was saying, it's an undertaking, right? Because it's 40 locks, 40 hubs, right? So you're really putting something that is a whole kind of system in place. And so I was just kind of thinking about that.
You only want to make that change once.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So you want to get it right. And then, when you're testing out something new, look at it holistically. One thing that I was going to ask you, Jim, because one of my students, he's scaling really fast. He wants to be at 160 by the end of the year, and he just onboarded you guys. And one of the questions that he had initially was, could Point Central work with window ACs? And I was like, I have no idea. But apparently that there was some workaround and he was able to do it with window ACs. So
what he probably did was he probably put one of our light switch devices in the outlet, which you can use to turn on a light or whatever device is plugged in. And he probably plugged the window air conditioner into that device, and he's able to turn on the air conditioner and turn off the air conditioner when he wants. Unique.
Gotcha.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm like, man, I don't know how they do that because there's a million different window ACs and everything else, but
smart.
Yeah.
They
Anyway,
probably just capped it.
Anyway.
So I'm curious to know in the sense of like because you said something interesting. So from my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong. So you guys also look at other companies and other businesses that come with possible little tools and gadgets, right? And then see if it's worth for you guys to integrate them with your system. So is there like a technology that you're seeing out there that's like up and coming in the automation space for vacation rentals that you're kind of interested in?
Yeah.
Or this sounds cool, or this sounds like,
Yeah, I think, again, there's a number of things that I'm not at liberty to discuss right now.
Yeah.
As you guys know, noise is a problem in some areas. And, you guys need to know if there's a party going on in the house. There's legislation in different areas of the country that require, in California, people are not allowed in the pool after 10 p.m. Complaints to local authorities about parties, etc. So there's devices coming that will help you guys have better control over those issues and what's going on. And again, just give you a lot more visibility into what's really going on in those units to prevent those complaints, the neighbor complaints, and kind of work with local government authorities to realize that the industry is doing everything they can to make these issues go away, if you will. So those are some of the things that are coming that I think are exciting, and you'll see in the very near future.
I'm curious for you guys, like who's kind of like your ideal target audience for Point Central? Is it somebody that's got one unit, or obviously some of the bigger managers are great because they give you a lot of units at once, but who are you guys kind of targeting right now, and who do you think it makes the most sense for?
Well, we generally like to talk to property managers that have a minimum of around 15 units. Less than 15 units, it's really not cost effective for us to do that. And we work with property managers that, have 15 units up to, that are managing thousands of units. I can't mention those company names, but you can figure out who they are. But I would say that, our average customer is probably 100 doors that they're managing. So the average vacation property manager we talk to that takes our solution is 100 doors, 150 doors, 200 doors. And, what's interesting is as time goes on, we watch them grow and add on additional systems once they're set up through the app that you just held up, for example. It's pretty simple for them to go online, and every time they have another property they want to put online, it's simple for them to order a hub, a lock, a thermostat, get it shipped. It's pretty simple to install those because you've already done the first few, and you kind of learn that it's not a really too big a deal. And we watch those property managers continue to add systems and grow their business as they move on. So I'd say right around 100, 150 doors is the primary customer that we talk to virtually all the time. But we still speak to the smaller ones, and of course we deal with very, very large ones as well.
Which kind of tied back into my point earlier of thinking ahead. So if all of these huge, for most people, what we consider huge companies that are managing hundreds of doors are investing in a system like this, there's a reason for that, because they understand that it's going to make their life easier. And at scale, if you've got one or two properties, you can kind of muscle through it and figure it out, and it's clunky, but whatever. But as you add more and more units, your life is going to get very crazy very quickly if you don't have a nice, like, tight system. If your guests aren't getting their codes, or the locks aren't working, or, whatever, your life is going to get pretty annoying pretty quick dealing with all those issues.
Absolutely. And, Mike, that's true. What we see is, to your point, property managers are investing in smart home. And, it's really actually helping them grow their business, right? So you just pointed that out. So how is it done? What do we see, right? So again, by improving operational efficiency, the property manager is viewed as a high-tech, modern company. The units they manage are high-tech. They're viewed by their owners as caring about that asset that the owner has by, saving them energy, by the safety and security of the property. And then overall, the reputation of that property manager increases. People talk more about them. They get more referrals. The owners have spreading good word of mouth because they're saving money. And, we did we hired a company out in California to do some research for us. And one of the stats I found interesting is they came back and said that 84% of vacation renters, that's 84%, think that smart home technology like locks, TVs, speakers, etc., are really an important amenity. And 69% of those vacation renters found it highly important. So, I mean, again, if you want to grow your business, you want to have a great reputation, this is what a lot of property managers like you guys are doing today. And it's again, one of the reasons why we've been having a really great year.
100%. So with Point Central, I know it was easy for me just because I already had a lot of the alarm.com stuff and I had the Yale lock there already and everything else. Are there other, and I know you alluded to this, that you're working on expanding that, but I guess as far as like thermostats and things like that, do they work with like a Nest, or do you need to get like the alarm.com thermostats and things like that to like keep the package tight?
We do work with Honeywell, Nest, but the problem there is, with Nest, for example, it's a Google product. Google won't allow a full integration. So we can control that thermostat by, turning the temperature up and down. But all of the things that you could do with the alarm.com thermostat, you can't do with that. They just simply won't let us do
like
that.
all the scheduling and stuff.
Yeah, all the rules, the high and low temperature limits, the scheduling, when that property is vacant, putting it in energy mode, right before the guest arrives, cooling or heating the property. All of those things are really not possible with that Nest thermostat. But again, we can integrate with it, we can control it, but you don't get all the benefits and savings that you'll get with the alarm.com one.
Gotcha. So I've worked with other providers, and it seems like their approach was to try and go as wide as possible, and it can work, but it can be clunky. It seems to me like Point Central's approach was a little bit different, where it's like we focus on controlling the hardware so that the overall system can just work better with itself. Is that a good summary, or from the approach, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. There's companies out there that, claim to do it all, hardware agnostic, work with any device. And a lot of that is via Wi-Fi again, which, is clunky and problematic. And we really pride ourselves on our reliability. And we find customers weekly that went down that other road, invested money, and were unhappy and came to Point Central. And of course, things are highly reliable, working well. We have a very with alarm.com intense certification process. Before we will put a device on our system and sell it, we put it through rigorous testing and certification to ensure that the device is going to work, and it's going to work all the time, and not really give property managers any issues. So we take it very seriously, hence the reason why we're choosy about what devices we will integrate with and work with, because we take our, that Point Central brand, that alarm.com brand very seriously, and we don't like to see it tarnished with products that are problematic and don't work.
Gotcha.
I wonder, James, if I could ask you, so let's say we have somebody that instead of being at the middle of the road, they're just at the beginning, right? So they're about to launch their very first unit, limited budget, right? Like maybe they put the money that they had to buy the place, they're doing all the furnishing, they're like, okay, listen to this episode, I'm like, okay, I need to invest in a smart home, start somewhere. But obviously you start looking at the locks, they can be expensive. Let's say you say like, these are two things that you should get right at the beginning and then evolve. And like the things that you've seen are the most beneficial, meaning like, I think the little automatic light switches, that's a cool feature, but I wouldn't consider that necessary, right? The being able to turn the lights on and off.
Yes, that's a great question, E. Usually they start off with, you always have to have the hub, right? So the hub communicates to the alarm.com cloud and then, over the cellular network, and then via Z-Wave, that hub in the unit wirelessly talks to the devices via Z-Wave. So lots of property managers, they buy the hub and they buy a lock and they buy the thermostat. And we actually have a bundle price for that. And they start off with a hub lock thermostat. It's a couple of $100s. We are one of the few companies that provide property managers with some really good homeowner marketing material that you can put your logo on, letters, emails, videos, etc.
Nice.
That you can share with the owner, that shows the owner the ROI that they'll get by this one-time couple of $100 investment in that hardware. So we do that. And then the monthly software fee is usually always paid for by the property manager. So what we try to explain to property managers is when you look at the cost of that monthly cost of that software to run the system, and you think of the operational efficiency, what is it really costing you a month to manage keys, cut keys, run out lost keys? You have a party of 20 in a big house and they get 2 keys, and what's that experience like? All of that, all of those things, the gas driving to replace a lost key at the beach, or how far are the units from your office when you have to meet a vendor? What does that really cost you versus what this software costs? And then the secret, I know you guys, we have STR secrets. Here's a really good one. So the best secret is if people listening call me, I can explain a very easy way that many property managers that have our solution are putting a 2 to 3% of the booking fee in the reservation, and they call it something unique, and that fee will more than pay for the monthly cost of my software. So at the end of the day, you really are getting all those efficiencies of having a smart home, all the guest experience, your operation, the asset protection for your owners, and you're actually turning a profit while reaping all the benefits of smart home. So that was a great question, and that's the way I would answer it. I think that, when property managers think they can't afford it, and how am I going to get this done? By having a conversation with us, we show them how it works, and we also show them how they can talk to their owners to get them to, kind of a no-brainer for them to do this, and at the same time, turn a little profit and reap all the benefits of our smart home product.
I love that, James. And that to me is just a reminder in our business that there is always a way to find an angle. You just need to understand how to present the situation, and the understanding that you're great, and I can tell you've been doing sales for a long time, because you're so great at finding the way to shine the light where you need it. And that's the main thing that people need to understand, especially those people that want to go into rental arbitrage, and they're like, where do I tell the owners? This makes your pitch so much more appealing, because you know what they're interested in. So if you can just shine the light on what they're interested in, and then talk about all the things that they're afraid of, that's all they want. They just want you to know what they're afraid of, and know that you're looking at it. And this just makes that so much easier.
Absolutely.
And it's free based on the right kind of pitch, apparently, too.
I'll throw out one other tip for the listeners too. If you're getting pushback from the homeowners on that, and they're like, well, I can just go get a Schlage keypad lock, right? And we can just use that, and we won't have to worry about keys. Well, great. Well, what if you want somebody to go change that code every single time? Because realistically, that's probably not going to happen. And then you have a security risk of some past guest going back to your property and trying to take your stuff, or they walk in on another guest. You just don't want to do that, right? PointCentral and some of these systems, they'll just change the lock every single time, the code automatically send it to the guest. So you don't even have to think about that. So if you had to physically go change that lock code every single time, what is your time worth? Mm-hmm. My time is worth a lot more than what I'm paying PointCentral. I'll tell you that right now. So
yeah. No, and also the mistakes. I think the thing, again, as you grow, it's not even because you mean to, you'll just won't remember everything. And this is one of those things that can kind of fall through the cracks, right? Maybe your team gets busy, they're overwhelmed, they forget to change the code. And it's nothing happens. But then again, the problem, it's is the guest experience. Like, how do you, the only way you're going to survive in this business long-term is delivering the guest experience over and over. The only way for you to do that, unless you have huge checklists that you go through every time, use technology. Like, technology allows you to repeat the system perfect every single time. So why wouldn't you? Right? Like, why would you have to be arrogant enough to be like, I won't make mistakes? Really? Why don't just invest in the software, and the software will definitely never make a mistake.
Absolutely agree. Mike, you mentioned that, homeowners going out and buying these products themselves. That's actually something that we see a lot of, that causes property managers a lot of grief. And usually the big one we see is the homeowner is, kind of freaking out a little bit about the high energy costs, right? So, think of the typical family, right? They go to the unit, and they walk in, they love it. They open the sliding glass door, they're looking at the water, and they crank the air condition down to 60 degrees, and the homeowner is seeing these enormous bills. And what do? They run out and they put a Nest thermostat in that they can control remotely. And the guest experience just went down the drain. The guest is calling you because they're hot. What's going on with this thermostat? So you got the owner injecting themselves in what you're doing, causing problems. And that's something that you definitely don't want to have to deal with. And again, our solution takes all that away and keeps everybody happy and keeps things moving along. Absolutely right.
Absolutely. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. I know we're getting close to our time together here. Before we get into the last question, first, I want to thank you and acknowledge you for coming on here. And again, if the listeners couldn't tell, I'm definitely a fan of the product from what I've been using it the last couple of months, and it's been going really well. And I've tested a lot of them over the years, a lot. And I'm really liking this one. So appreciate you coming on and sharing that with everybody. And where can the listeners learn more about Point Central and get in contact with you if they've got questions or inquiries?
Thanks, Mike. Yes, they can go to PointCentral.com and just click free demo, and that'll come right to my team, and we'll be more than happy to do a demo. Or they can email me. It's James Netska, Netska, @PointCentral.com, and I'd be more than happy to answer anybody's questions and talk about this, any questions they may have, and help people with all these solutions.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that. And so the last question that we ask all of our guests is, what is your number one secret to success with short-term rentals?
I think the number one secret to success for short-term rentals is we are a reliable solution. And when you put in a smart home, you want to make sure also that you have the property manager, you did your due diligence, and it's not, don't just look at price, and make sure that there's a team behind you that have been in this business for a long time, are reliable, know what they're doing, and have a customer support team in the background that's there for you to really help you all the time. And I think the other secret I'd say is when property managers like you guys implement this, they're shocked at how much more efficient they become, how much more they can get done, and how much time they were really spending chasing keys, cutting keys. The guest experience, trust me, guests don't want to drive to your office at the start of their vacation to pick up a key with the kids in the car crying, the dog barking in the background. They really don't want to, you guys look great, but they really don't want to come to your office and see you guys. They want to go direct, like a hotel. They want direct check-in. And then the last secret I'll share is, there was a Focusrite study done pre-COVID in 2019 that I was always impressed with the data. And they asked 10,000 US travelers who considered a short-term rental, but did not take a short-term rental. They went to a hotel, and why they did that. And the answer was 27% of them didn't feel safe. Safety was an issue. So I translate that to be, you're in someone's home, they're uncomfortable being in someone's home, and they worry about safety. Who has previously had a key to this unit? When was the last time they changed the key? Who's copied keys here? Safety is an issue, and as an industry, we need to get away from keys. We need to make sure people feel safe and secure in short-term rentals, and we provide that. So that would be my secret. And then, Mike, the last secret, I'm on a roll here, is I can't say enough how there are very clever ways that guests will not balk at, that will pay for this and put some money in your pocket at the same time. That's my key secret.
What would you call it? What would you call that fee?
Let's just say
A James fee?
I don't want to give you the name. I'll just say that the guest will assume that it is some local governmental fee, but it's not. I'll leave it there.
Nice. My mind is racing right now, trying to think about all the possible things it could be. But James, thank you so much for your time. I am definitely going to reach out to you guys because this might be what we should do for our 40 units. Again, I hate implementing systems. So to our listeners, they're like, ugh, systems. Guys,
I'm always the one texting E like, dude,
I am with you.
For?
I am with you. That's why Mike has gone through 100,000 systems and why I'm still like, he pushed me to try something and I'm still there. And I don't know if it's the best, but it literally gives me anxiety. So you seem nice. So I'm going to reach out to you and see if you can alleviate part of my anxiety in going keyless, I guess.
We'd love to do that.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, it was a pleasure talking to you today.
Likewise, brother. Thank you so much for coming.
You got it.
Did it.
Hey, STR Nation, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. And in the comments, let us know what topics you want us to cover on upcoming episodes, and we'll make sure to get that in the books for you. And if you really want to learn how to launch, automate, and scale your short-term rental business, if you want to go deeper, then check out our free masterclass at strsecrets.com.